Pianos get neglected like crazy. If people actually maintained their pianos properly, we'd have a shortage of piano technicians. The bare minimum, you gotta tune the thing a couple times a year, at least. Then the mechanical components of a piano simply wear out over the years. You've got to maintain the hammers. The pianos have a lot of felt parts in them which compress and settle over the years, so every so often you need to go through the action and re-regulate it. None of these things ever get done.
I'm more fond of old planes. There are very few of them these days really left to look at. I read a piece in the local newspaper that they were looking for people to work on a glider project they had here, and that's where I came in at. It's a World War II invasion glider. They used gliders by the hundreds, taking troops and supplies from England over into Europe right after the invasion and dumped troops behind German lines. Working in aircraft is very enjoyable. My wife says it's fine with her as long as it doesn't interfere with our vacations.
We have very few Victorian houses left in Los Angeles. We've been asked to work on the restoration of other houses, but have been too busy doing the ones that we've done for ourselves. In a way, we're not restoring them for ourselves, we're restoring them really for the city, because that's what our sense of value is about this neighborhood. If you look at the intricate details, you can see that it's simply art.
I remember when I was in college, my piano teacher at the time just categorically stating, Brahms is muddy, period. Well, yeah, it's muddy if you're playing it on a modern Steinway, but Brahms played on the instruments of his time tends to be a lot cleaner. You can hear a lot more of what's going on than you can on a modern piano. It's just a whole different experience. There's a tremendous amount of slurring and other articulation markings that don't get observed in modern performance, like Mozart's Sonata K330 in C major. Played as it's written, say a phrase might go something like na da dum ba dum dee bum 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 ba dum dee da 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 dum. A modern performer would just tie that all together, and it would la 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 la. You know, none of the articulation that that was actually written into this music. What a lot of modern performers and teachers don't realize is what they're really doing is they're playing a transcription of this music for the modern piano. I mean, all the notes are the same, but in terms of the way that the way that it's articulated and expressed, they are not playing the intentions of the composers, even though they think they are. I've got a Viennese piano from my collection of older instruments, probably from about the 1860s. All of this felt underneath the keyboard, like this stuff right here looks like the moths have been having a wonderful time with it. That should all be replaced. Undoubtedly, the more I look into this, the more I'll find that we should do.
I don't play sports. I don't go out for sports and that, and I just like airplanes. I lived close vicinity to an airport between 6th and 7th grade. I used to watch them fly over and take off and all that sort of stuff, and I could go over to the airport and wander around. Every once in a while, I could get a ride with somebody who was going up by themselves and wanted a little company. I didn't know too much about the glider. I just wanted to be a part of it. They were found all over back east, no one place. Piece here, a part there, and most of them were quite bad. They just quit the glider program completely at the end of the war, and they just shucked everything. There are so few fully completed ones that people have no recognition of what they're looking at. About 18,000 were built. I'd say there's about 5 in existence in the United States. Our next project is to try to get a front section of the fuselage put together, and that'll take probably anywhere between 8 and 10 years.
I came up on Carroll Avenue and saw these wonderful, what I thought were ghost houses. And at that time in my life, I thought it would really be cool to live in a ghost house.
The first time I met Murray, he knocked on my door and he wanted to buy the house across the street.
I came to the owner and I said, I want to buy this house. Well, what was embarrassing for me was you said, when I said, could I buy the house, you said to me,
Oh, yes.
don't you want to look inside of it first?
Yeah.
And I said, oh,
no.
yeah.
I just thought he was this nice gay guy who wanted to buy a Victorian house. That was when he actually worked for someone else, and he had to have shorter hair and no earring. And you were wearing probably a shirt and slacks.
I probably still have the shirt. Demolition in the city of Los Angeles probably hasn't departed from what happens in most cities. About 12 or 13 years ago, Good Samaritan Hospital was going to demolish a very important Los Angeles landmark and build a parking lot. So when the guy went to get the demolition permit, the city said, no, you've got to give it to someone who's going to save it. And my name came up, and so I was given the building. All you have to do is somehow raise the house and then put a boat or a wagon or a truck under it and drive it away. In the far block is a house that was given to me. It was originally located on Sunset. Someone was going to demolish it and build a hotel. And after some negotiation, I ended up with the house. Since the real revival of Carroll Avenue began, there have been 5 houses moved out of the neighborhood.
I'm pretty well down to just myself on the program now. The challenge is going to be trying to recruit volunteers that want to work on the program. Got a live one there.
Okay, turn the switch off. Oh, crap.
We get volunteers that want to work on the program, and it'll help us in speeding things up.
Ray, what did you bring today?
My usual
What is your usual?
peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a ding dong.
Do you guys ever change up your menus?
I don't. I've been eating that since I was a kid.
Well, when you make your own lunch, it's pretty easy just to have the same routine day after day.
That's it.
At least it is with me, anyway.
That's about the way it is with me.
That goes back to elementary school, that I was making airplane models. I owned a number of Porsches and learned how to take those things apart and getting my fingers coated in grease. It's like there was always something that I was taking apart. So I suppose in a way tearing pianos apart was sort of just another level of complication. I started rebuilding in the early 1980s. I bought a piano that I was not completely satisfied with, and so I rebuilt it. We are in.
Their current project is down on Bellevue. It's an 1893 Victorian that had been vacant for 6 or 7 years. Almost every restoration project we've done has certainly had problems, but this one's just been a bureaucratic nightmare. The current code says that these spaces can't be larger than 3 inches square. This distance is 6.5 inches This distance is 4 inches. This distance is 16.5 inches. And if you can imagine the tiny little squares, it just changes proportionately the whole look and the feel of the house. This was part of the art. So this is the handrail, and it'll be 36 inches high. But to comply with the 3x3 requirement of no infant committing suicide, we've chosen this interesting design that I'm really quite in love with. So what the city is trying to make us do is take this and all the other 30-inch door openings and change them to 32 inches. And I'm not sure whether that's to accommodate the increasing obesity of Americans or what. Beauty is a function of the harmony of the parts. Like a number of men, I'm attracted by women's breasts, but my feeling is they should be limited to 2 per woman. Having 1 here and 1 here and 2 here and 1 over there doesn't work.
I have slowed down. It's an inevitable process of getting older. I don't believe in retirement. That's a bad thing for one. You know, you should always be active at something. Probably the most fulfilling thing about the job is bringing one of these old grandmas from being a basket case to like when it was a young puppy again.
The aircraft has really progressed throughout the years and very, very fast up to what we have now. The way they look, the way they fly, people can really see them when they're flying. They aren't gone in a couple of seconds like the jets are today. They really like the authenticity of the old aircraft and watching them fly and listening to them. It took us 4.5 years to refurbish and rebuild that nose section to what it is now. For the elevators, it's quite different to a lot of people. They look at it and they're really in wonderment that back then they used anything that big. Just down to me, I think I'll live long enough to finish it.
We're probably 2 to 3 years away from complete restoration of these historic homes. What we've learned in terms of strategy in picking out which houses we're going to restore in the neighborhood is to restore the ugliest one on the block. There's this lovely spillover effect. People step back and say, well, you know, I could do that with my own. And some people do it. Though we own some of these buildings, they really don't belong to us. We're more like caretakers. They belong to the city, they belong to future generations. When we can, we invite them in. This is part of their history too.